So following from the last video, I've made some changes. The USB ground noise was the big issue that I was just finding really frustrating. It's the USB noise when trying to work with a super portable setup, and the portability is about getting in and out of EMOMs really easily, setting up in a few minutes and enjoying playing rather than spending all your time plugging stuff in and then unplugging it and lugging it about. I found a TX-6 cheaply, bargain on eBay, and took the plunge before I'd even really thought about it. And then after I thought about it, I also remembered I had this. Belkin Rockstar is sold as a headphone splitter, but it seems to do a whole lot more. You can use it to sync up a load of gear that uses mini jack syncs. You can use it to combine outputs of gear together. The reason I'm sort of talking about the Belkin in particular is because it seems to be wired more robustly than other cheaper units, so it's more forgiving of multiple styles of connection. So you seem to be able to run mono signals alongside stereo signals fine, and it also seems to handle intermittent stereo signals, so dodgy headphones, much better than other units and doesn't suddenly fall over. Which one? TX-6, several £100. You know, you're going to be looking at £500 to £900 depending on whether you're buying it new, whether you're buying it on eBay, etc. And I can't remember what this was. £15, £20, something like that. I've had this quite a few years. Let's see how far I can get with this and then give this a go, because I've only had this a day or so and I haven't really used it. So let's check it out. So I'm going to try this setup with the Rockstar. So what have I got set up? So far I've got the OPXY. That's the main output here. That is just going to the sound card. This is the MIDI output. MIDI output sending to the Pulsar 23. Can't hear anything at the moment. I've got a blob of blue tack on the back to stop this sliding around when I put it on the desk. So my plan here, having tried just sending things through the Rockstar, is to use the Rockstar to route things back into the OPXY's input. So the input is the bottom one here. So that's the mic input or line input, and I'm using it as line input. Turns it on and off. So I'm now going to plug the Pulsar 23 in. So I can now hear that coming in. Cool. And then this is the output from the circuit. That's now sending in as well. And then just to show you the versatility of the Belkin Rockstar versus other similar looking Rockstars or things, I'm going to plug in this mono input from my Super Space Drum over here. And I can hear that in both ears. The thing I've noticed with this versus other similar looking splitters, which is you can plug a mono input in and it doesn't interrupt the signal from the other sources. So other ones I've used like this, where even if you've got a pair of headphones that are a bit dodgy, they've got a dodgy connector, then that seems to affect what everybody hears or all the signals. Whereas with this particular one, for some reason, it's wired differently or more robustly, it seems, and it will forgive some of these things. So now I've got OPXY, I've got this working, I've got this working, and I've got this working, all coming in to the input on the OPXY. Now do a little jam. So I'm already beginning to get to the limitations of this, which is this here space drum is at maximum volume and it's basically being drowned out by other items being used. There's a lot more volume control on the other items, so I'd need something. I either need to turn everything down, so let's make that my loudest, but even looking at the gain here, that's maximum gain. You know, that's a drive level. It's basically, I'll just take the volume control down on that significantly. Okay. But there is beginnings of a workable system there, and there is no USB noise, which is the issue that I was having before with the Blue Box. The question is this a workable system, or do we need to bring the TX-6 on board? What are the benefits of this, which is many, many, many times more expensive than the Rockstar, even when bought at a bargain second-hand price on eBay? Here I've got two more potential inputs. I've got no volume control over the various devices in terms of mixing. I've got the volume control on the individual elements, but as you can see here, this is already on max and I'm not getting enough from it. So I either need to resort to some kind of submixing here of my mono devices, which is something I've considered, and I could use the Dude, for example, to submix my mono stuff and have volume controls and have an overall volume there, and that could go into the Belkin. But then need a set of batteries, that's introducing a level of complexity. I could use another submixer for those devices. And then, I've got two more inputs here. So it's a way forward. Is it the best one? Let's try the setup with the TX-6 and see what's going on there. Right, we're going to try this again with the TX-6. This is my first time using the TX-6. So I've got the output from the OPXY. That is going to go into number 1, 6. One thing I like about this versus the blue box is it goes 1 to 6 that way, whereas the blue box went 1 to 6 that way, which is a very small thing but continually a bit confusing. Let's turn that on. Okay, I've got some effects on. Okay, so TX-6 is in. Here's my output from the Pulsar 23. So we can see this is a big fat jack. Will it fit? It just fits. Yay. Okay, that works. Output from the Chaos pad. Will that go into the next hole? I think... Okay, that's causing a problem. So basically this big fat one here, problem, let's go into that one. So that's Chaos. Put that one in the end for now. Let's take my mono from my space drum. Okay, so it's okay, louder. So bass is turned down there. Okay, so I've definitely got more going on there than I had before. So effects. So what's going on there with that? Those must be the sends. Okay, so So the TX-6 is already reading the sync from, so I think the clock's probably on channel 1. Yeah, channel 1 clock sync, so it's taking the audio signal, interpolating the sync from that, and then adding the sync delay to things based on that. And then obviously this TX-6 has got a lot more functionalities. Going back to the things I was looking for in the earlier video, which was talking about transitions, this also has a loop function, which is something I could potentially use to cover transitions. So going to the end of this track. Well, I missed it. This has stopped. That's the looper. I can now load in my next track. Had I loaded it in, then I'd be off I'd be going. Let's try that again. Let's pretend that loop carried on. And so on. So, which one's the winner? You decide, I don't know. So one of the other reasons for going down the TX-6 route is that at the next EMOM I want to also be able to play the guitar. So this little fella here, the, however you say that, M-Wave little guitar unit, this is a Temu special, £25 or £27 guitar multi-effects processor with USB battery power, and this is what I want to add to the next setup. So basically can have guitar plugged in there, then take the headphone output, run that into the TX-6 alongside the other stuff, be able to use the built-in effects here, but also be able to use the built-in effects there, and add some guitar elements, and we shall see how that works out next time.